Hello whistleblowers everywhere, and I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy new year. It's January the 2nd, and today's tune is a lovely Welsh tune. It's called Bwlch Llanberis, or the Llanberis Pass. Pardon about my pronunciation. I'm not Welsh, and my pronunciation is probably not as accurate as it should be. But the way I pronounce it is Bwlch Llanberis. So you've got that kind of sound, which is very commonly found in the Welsh language. So it's Llanberis Pass, which is in the north of Wales, and it's between two mountain ranges, the Glydarrow and Snowdon Massif. And at the bottom of the pass is a little village called Llanberis. Beautiful part of the world, and this is a lovely, simple little tune written in 3/4, Bwlch Llanberis. So I'll just play it through for you, and then we can have a look at things like phrasing and breathing, and I'll show you what I do. There's probably not much in the way of ornamentation. Traditional Welsh music, and certainly the airs, don't really need much. Maybe a few slides and a few little trills or mordants or that kind of thing, but certainly not the kind of Irish ornamentation which we do on the traditional Irish music. So I'll play it through first, and then we can have a look at some phrasing and how I like to breathe and how I like to sew the parts together with this. So here we go. Bwlch Llanberis. 1, 2. So as you can hear, it's a lovely little tune, fairly simple. It's just an AABB format, which is very popular in traditional music. So I was playing this tune today on a Simon style, Western whistle. This is an olive wood D whistle. Highly recommend his whistles. They are absolutely beautiful. Play really nicely, as you can hear, and also they are very reasonably priced. So a little plug there for Simon Styles and Western whistles. Okay, let's have a breakdown now and have a look at how we phrase. So the phrases are sort of fairly equal, and what I'm tending to do is to do long flowing phrases, again with sort of minimum amount of tonguing, which I tend to prefer to do in terms of getting a nice legato flow going. So let's start by having a look at the first A part. So right at the beginning, you may notice that we've got two little eighth notes or two little quavers, which is starting on beat 3. So its technical name is an anacrusis. You may have heard me mention anacrusis before. Wonderful name. And basically what it is, we're coming in not on the first beat of the bar, but we're coming in on a pickup. So we're counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then we come in on beat number 3. Excuse me. So let's count that in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And when we get to that high F sharp, that's our first beat in the bar of 3. So we're counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now, if you're playing this at a very slow speed, that first phrase down to that A there in bar number 2, we're not counting the anacrusis as a bar, so it's bar number 2, will probably be enough. So what I'm doing is just tonguing the first D in the anacrusis and just using my breath and fingering to carry me back down to that note A in the second bar. So and we really want to concentrate on getting nice clean fingering. We want to try and eliminate any of the passing noises, which will mean you have to make sure your fingering is clean and that you're moving those fingers from the F to the A, yeah, and they're coordinating exactly as they need to. We don't want this. We don't want to catch the G on the way. So you might want to practice just going just to make sure your fingering's nice and clean. So the first phrase, 1, 2. Now I'm going to take a breath there because I'm playing it slowly and we want to get those phrases balanced. So the next phrase is going to end on the minim or the half note on the E in the last bar on the first line. Let's do that again. And remember, always pick that finger up, that top finger for the middle D. Yeah, middle D. Much more stable D. And also you've got no worry about having to overblow it. You've got to be careful, otherwise you're going... You can easily overblow that if you're not careful. And also some whistles, it's not very in tune. So I always recommend you pick that finger up for the middle D wherever possible. So let's try the whole of that first line. 1, 2. Take a breath. Now, if you noticed, I didn't pick my finger up for that D and I got a bit of a funny note, yeah? Yeah, so it can very easily do that. So do remember to pick that finger up. Let's try that again. So you get a much more reliable middle D if you pick that finger up. Very good habit to get into. Okay, let's try that again with the breathing. Okay, so that's as quick as we need to go at the moment. We can play at whatever speed. I think if you play this too quickly, it loses some of its kind of loveliness. So I don't tend to play this very quickly at all. So the next part starts on the last part of the first line on the last bar. So we've got D, E. And we're going to carry our breath all the way to the A on the second bar of the second line. So it will go. So again, that's a nice balanced phrase. And then the last phrase. So let's try phrase 3 and phrase 4 with the breathing. So there's no need to tongue any of the notes other than just the first one you've taken after a breath. So I'm going to play through now the whole of the A part at a nice and steady pace. So I've set my metronome to 60 beats a minute, which is plenty fast enough for now. As I say, you can play it a bit quicker or you can play it even slower. But as I said, I wouldn't play it too quickly because it kind of takes away from the prettiness of this piece. So here's our click at 60 and I'm going to count in. I'm going to play the A section now through twice. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that's the A part, which we play through twice. So if you noticed where I was breathing, I was giving plenty enough time to get a breath in there. And again, we need to be careful with the breathing that we don't elongate the measure, we don't displace the tempo. So it's good sometimes to work with a click to make sure that you're not doing that. So with the breathing, I was leaving plenty of gas in the tank in so much as plenty of air. I wasn't struggling. Now I could probably play this, and probably most of you could play it in two long sections. So again, if I do it at 60, I could probably get to the E at the end of the first line, and I can get to the D at the end of the second line and just take the one breath. And again, I'm just moving my fingers, I'm not adding any extra tongue in. So here's 60 again. 1, 2. So I can quite comfortably do that in just the 2 breaths. However, if you're playing it on a low whistle, you're going to need to breathe more frequently. And also, if you're playing on a whistle which demands more air than this whistle, then again, it all depends on your own capacity of being able to breathe and also the capacity of the whistle. So there's nothing wrong with breaking that into 4 parts and taking a breath at the beginning, breath after the A in the second bar, breath after the E in the 4th bar, then taking a breath after the A in the second bar on the second line, and then of course a breath after the D. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to take a breath in a place which is going to be rushed. So if I was doing this, yeah, it's rushing the breath in there, and we're trying to shoehorn the breath in, which is not kind of a natural place. Imagine you're humming it or singing the melody, yeah? You want to make sure that it flows and it doesn't get interrupted or sound stilted by the breathing. The breathing becomes part of the melody. Yeah, so you've got to time in your breath to make sure that it doesn't in any way add anything to the melody time wise, or it doesn't sound stilted in any way. Yeah, we want a nice smooth breath. So if we break it down into 4 parts, or even if you can do it in 2. So my advice would be to do it slowly and to do it in the way which we did it first. So I'm going to show you the 4-part way of doing it again. So here's 60, 1, 2. Okay, so that's the first A part. No ornamentation, just play straight through. Let's do the same thing with the B part. Look at the breathing and look at how we will phrase that. So we've got those 2 notes as we do at the beginning. We've got like an anacrusis. Again, if you notice that the last note on the second line, D, is only 2 beats because we start the B part at the end of that. So we've got the F sharp and G, which is we're going to take the breath after that long D at the end of the second line. So again, we're going to break it down into phrases. So here we go. 1, 2. Now there I separated the 2 F sharps by using a cut. You can use a cut or you can tongue it if you so prefer. I'll show you how it sounds with tongued. I prefer it with a cut. But that's our first phrase of the B part, yeah? So once again, 1, 2. Going to take a breath and then do the second phrase, which will land on that C sharp. So, and again. Now with the C sharp, some of you may have trouble with holding the whistle or finding its lack stability. I tend to use my pinky finger here so I can hold my whistle like this. In fact, I could even hold my whistle like that, just with 2 fingers. Yeah. So you don't really need to be gripping the whistle or holding the whistle, but using that little finger there as a stabilizer. You can even use this hole here. Doesn't make any difference to the sound of the C sharp, and it adds a bit of stability, but I use my pinky finger because I know for a fact it's not going to do anything because there's no hole there. Okay, so let's try the whole of that first part of the B section. So 1, 2. So there I'm going to take a breath and then do the final part. So we've got repetition again. Take a breath. So the last line is pretty much identical to the second line of the A part. So it's like A, B, but the B part, the second half of the B part, is the same as the second part of the A part. So really, there's that second line is repeated in the B part. Okay, so let's try that last bit of the B part again. So 1, 2. So I'm going to put my click on 60 again and play the whole of the B part through twice. 1, 2. So if you find you don't need to breathe that often, what you can do is play the whole of the third line up to the C sharp, then play out the rest of the tune up to the D. Yeah, so I'll show you how that works. 1, 2. So if you need to take more breaths, then that's absolutely fine. And again, if you're playing on a low whistle or a whistle which has got more of an air requirement, then it's fine to break it up into the 4 sections rather than just doing it in the 2. Okay, so that's at 60. So I'm going to play now the whole piece through, both parts twice, and I'm going to do the breathing after each phrase. So we're going to do 4 phrases for A section and 4 phrases for B. Okay, going to keep it at 60 and we'll play it all the way through. A, B, B. So here we go. Click set to 60. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that was the whole piece played through twice, each section. Let's have a look now at what we can do to add a little bit of ornamentation, a little bit of maybe a few slides and a few little trills, just to add a little bit. We're not going to do anything in so much as variation too much with this piece. We're going to keep it fairly simple. So let's have a look at the A part now and see what we can do to just add some ornaments, some slides. So I like to go just a little slide from the E to the F. You can even put a cut on that if you want, or just play it as a plain slide. And I put a little cut on the A. So once again. So the next part. So I can put a cut on the high A. And I'm adding a little F, G, F. So it's just a little passing ornament. So F, G, F, E. Let's try that whole first two phrases. And again. Now you don't have to add the cuts, you can play without the cuts, but it's entirely up to you. There's not a great tradition of ornamentation in traditional Welsh music. It tends to be played fairly straight. So if you want to leave out the cuts and just add that little, that's absolutely fine as well, yeah? So the next bit. I'm just putting a little trill on that F sharp. And there I'm doing the B, C sharp, B to A, a little ornament there. So and the last section. Again, I'm not putting any ornaments in that last bit. You could go. And put a little. And unlike the ornaments in the Irish tradition, these are melodic ornaments, so you are meant to hear the notes. They're not like rolls and cuts, crans, that kind of thing. These are little melodic ornaments which you can add in. Yeah. So let's try the whole of the A part now. it's up to you. You can add as much or as little of the ornaments as you want. If you don't like them, don't use them. If you do like them, then use them at your discretion. These are just ideas for you to try out. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. And if you prefer playing it without any ornaments at all, then that's absolutely fine. Okay, on to the B part now. So I've got a lovely opportunity to put a G to an A drag at the beginning. So I'm doing that by either lifting and sliding off or pushing and lifting off. It's up to you. Or decide which one you want to use, which you find most pleasing in terms of the sound, and just use whichever one works best for you. So here we go. So there, I've put a few more of those little or if you want to cut the two Fs, yeah, nice slide. Let me take our breath. Now you can add a little bit of vibrato on that long C, yeah? Different ways of doing finger vibrato. If I use the whole of my bottom hand, it flattens it slightly. It's a very slight vibrato. You can get a wider vibrato if you use this finger. I don't particularly like that. For me, it's a little bit too wide. You can. And again, if you use these two fingers. But watch you don't actually hit the holes themselves, or you'll be hitting the C natural and getting this, which quite frankly sounds ridiculous. So yeah, try experimenting with different fingers to get a finger vibrato you like. The important thing is that it's nice and even, yeah? Okay, last bit. So we've got a nice little trill on that F sharp. And we have that B, C sharp, B, A, that little passing ornament. And then to finish off, again we can slide. So last bit all the way through. Okay, so now that we've done the not even variations, but added a few little ornaments in, there are some variations which I put in, but to be honest with you, I don't think this tune needs much in the way of variation. I think we should just play it as it's written. It sounds beautiful as it is. So I'm going to play it through with my few little ornaments and twiddles which I've put in. So 1, 2. So there we have it. Bwlch Llanberis. As I said, the ornamentation, the slides, it's up to you what you want to do with it. You can add those little trills or those little passing notes. To my ears, I think they sound nice, but to your ears, you might find, nah, it's not for me. So you can just play it through straight and exactly as it's written. You can even try adding some variation. In fact, this is a great tune to add a few little variations to it. I'm not going to go into that now because this is really aimed at sort of beginner whistle players. And I don't want to add another layer of things just to confuse people. So keep it nice, keep it straight, and add as much or as little ornaments as, or slides, or whatever you want to do with this piece. It's a lovely, gentle, sweet, rolling piece of music, and it doesn't need to be overly complex. And oftentimes, as I've mentioned before, it's very easy to makes things overly complex, and it loses its simplicity. And sometimes the beauty of a tune is in its simplicity. So hopefully you found this tune breakdown of Bwlch Llanberis useful, and you like the tune, and it'd be great to hear some of you playing it. It's a lovely little tune, and it's one of a few Welsh tunes which I play fairly regularly. So if you found this useful, and this tune breakdown useful, it would be great if you could subscribe to this Whistleblowers YouTube channel. The more subscriptions I get, the more content I can create, and the better it is for everybody. So again, like and subscribe. If you've got any comments, if you've got any suggestions for further tune breakdowns, or for any kind of tutorials on anything which you're struggling with, feel free to message me in the comments. Always happy to take on new ideas and take on suggestions of tune breakdowns or things that you're struggling with. Happy to help. Okay, so 2nd of January, a whole new year, and happy whistling, folks. Bye for now.